On today's show, a day in the life of the hottest seat in the state government. We meet Minnesota's first female commissioner of the DNR. We share a boat ride with a 6-year-old who dreams of life on water. And aim straight, Laura Shera helps you get started in the sport of archery.
Good job.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to this week's episode.
Minnesotans feel strongly about our natural resources, that we know, which makes the office of Commissioner of the Minnesota DNR such an important role.
Ron Shera met Minnesota's first female to hold the office title.
You're looking at the office of the Commissioner of the Department of Natural Resources. It's the hottest seat in state government. And it's in this building at 500 Lafayette Road in St. Paul. And who occupies the hot DNR seat? She does. She's the first woman in Minnesota history to do so. Her name, Sarah Strommen. Since January of 2019, she has held the DNR's top job, often described as somewhere between a dream and a nightmare.
I applied for it because it's an incredible honor to serve in this role. It is an agency of amazingly dedicated public employees, very committed to their mission, very committed to Minnesota and Minnesota's resources and the people of Minnesota. Yeah, I thought that serving as commissioner was something I could do, and I could bring a little bit of a different perspective as a woman.
She also knew DNR's missions often included opposing views.
It was really evident when I took this job from notes I received that there were a lot of people who didn't believe a woman would ever have this job. This was 2019, and it's the first woman to lead this agency. It's a reminder to always think about who's not at the table, who's not represented, in addition to people who are.
Sarah Strommen grew up in St. Paul and attended Central High School.
I was really not super interested in the sciences. I was more interested in music. And then I took kind of an unusual environmental chemistry class later in my high school years, and it really sparked my interest in the connection between environmental science, the outdoors and nature, and public policy. And so I kind of thought, you know, I think that's maybe what I want to do.
Next stop was Grinnell College in Iowa, where she majored in biology and Latin American studies. Today, Sarah, with husband John and son Will, lead an outdoor lifestyle, especially fishing as a family.
We didn't fish a lot as kids. My parents were not anglers, but they made sure, because we were in Minnesota, that all of the siblings had fishing rods. Later in life, when my husband and I met, he's an avid fisherman, was very into muskie fishing, and so it's the thing that we did together all the time. And then when my son was born, it was the thing the three of us did.
Yes, but life as DNR Commissioner is not about watching your bobber go down.
And I think that's one of the things that makes the job so interesting, is that there are so many things. And, you know, I don't even know that Minnesotans appreciate that all of those things are within our Department of Natural Resources. You know, if you're an angler, you might deal with fisheries. If you're a lake homeowner, you might deal with the waters people. You know, really all of that works together. And I think, you know, that's true of our natural world and our environment. Those things are all connected.
It's also true DNR sometimes stirs the ire of state hunters and anglers.
Do nothing right, I've heard. To some extent, you have to have thick skin, right? It's not personal. There's a lot of decisions to make. Many of them, you know, there's no single answer to it, right? You have to make the best decision you can. And so what I think is really important, though, in this job is you don't get deaf to the critics and the criticism. You have to listen to those opinions, because really There is so much passion in Minnesota about our natural resources. So I think it's important to listen to all of that, but there is a difference between listening and then agreeing, right? At the same time, you have to make a decision and you have to recognize that not everybody's going to agree with it, but hopefully they'll understand how you made the decision.
Indeed, the commissioner's office is where the buck stops, but the pressure goes away when she takes a walk.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's one of the things I really noticed during the pandemic too, when I was stuck on my computer doing, you know, the 10th Zoom meeting of the day. It was really important to get outside and walk the dogs and just take a deep breath, and it was very calming.
Then, it's back to the hot seat.
I do see a bright future. I am enthusiastic. It's a great job.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Aluma Trailers, Ice Castle Fish House and RV, and by Coors Light.
Not long ago, we learned about a kid by the name of Leo Edberg, a 6-year-old boy with a dream. We hope to share his story and a precious day on the water. An act of kindness measured in a single Lake Minnetonka morning.
Carrie, nice to meet you.
Carrie Edberg and her family carry a boatload of hope on this day.
1, 2, 3.
Especially Leo, a 6-year-old with a dream.
It is very simple stuff, but you know, our life is so complicated that sometimes the simplicity of life we don't get to do as often.
And that seat right there.
Carrie says Leo always wanted a boat ride.
You hear that sound, you're gonna wake up.
Steve Cruikshank found out and made a few quick calls.
Yeah, we get a text last night that he's like, all right, it's a go tomorrow. So we're like, all right, let's do it.
Steve represents a nonprofit called Fishing for Life.
Fishing for Life serves kids, families, veterans, and communities through fishing and outdoor activities.
An exciting moment for Leo,
Oh, here we go.
a sleepy kiddo who just wants to feel the wind in his hair. A 6-year-old suddenly so full of life at 28 miles an hour.
Well, I think he definitely loves when we go fast and the wind blows on him. When he gets all bouncy and excited and his legs are going, yes. That's the happiest he's been for a while. He's really excited. Motion and the wind, he just has always loved. That's true. That's right, Leo. You had a great time today, didn't you?
His whole body was just shaking and just, you know, bouncing all over the place, and it was a very fun time.
That movement and sound, Leo's little way of expressing emotion.
It was just the gas. I couldn't stop the boat. I mean, I just wanted to keep on going, to watching his face and the smile.
In this story and in this day, you understand better that Leo's first boat ride will most likely be his last, too.
I'm happy we got to have a day like this, but I'm sad that his life is short. You know, and we're not talking about years, we're talking about, you know, weeks, maybe a month or two, and so that's very hard. Leo was born completely healthy, and at 3 months, he ended up being shaken profoundly and abused quite a bit.
Doctors never expected Leo to survive.
Well, they gave him last rites and took him off life support, and he started breathing on his own. So this kid is a fighter.
A fighter who found new life in a new family with 4 other brothers.
So he's been with me since he's 2, and he has just added so much joy and love to my family. I can't imagine my life that, you know, without him. He's such a miracle to have.
But Leo's little body suddenly started to give up.
All right, here we go. Hang on to your hat. Just recently, as of last year, he's lost all of his motor function and all of his speech. It's going pretty fast. So to be able to come out here and be part of this last request is something that I'll cherish forever.
You know, unfortunately, what it comes to is me having to make the decision to stop his feedings because he's, you know, fed through a tube. And that's tough for me to have to make that decision on your child.
But today, Leo's family celebrates life on water, most importantly, together.
Want to touch him?
So yeah, ready? So nice and slimy.
He's cool.
Yeah.
Every fish is precious, and we learned that today.
And so precious is every life. A gift given to all of us by a joyful 6-year-old who clearly loves a ride in the boat.
Yep, you do.
An act of kindness, not so random at all.
I can't even begin to tell you how much fun this was.
My cheeks are actually sore from smiling so much.
Closed captioning provided by Star Bank.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I am good. I am looking to get started in some archery.
Well, excellent. You came to the right place. First of all, we need to get some measurements and get you fitted for proper equipment. What is it that you plan on doing with it?
Well, I think I'll probably start off with just some target practice, but then eventually I want to use my bow for hunting.
Perfect. Well, let's start off. Let's get a couple of measurements.
Okay.
First and most important, we need to test your eye dominance.
All right.
Okay, very simple test here. What we're gonna do is you're gonna hold this card out like this. You're gonna bring it up, find my nose through the hole in the card, and then slowly bring it back to your face, keeping my nose in focus. This tells us which way you're gonna shoot. Perfect. You brought it back to your right eye, meaning your right eye dominant. Are you right-handed?
Yes, I am.
All right, so that means that your eye dominance matches your dominant hand, so we don't have any issues in there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure your wingspan. That's
Okay.
gonna tell us what your draw length is so we can fit you to the bow. Why don't
All
you
right.
follow me?
Time for the wingspan.
So this here is showing us that your draw length is 26.5 inches, which is your wingspan divided by 2.5. So here we have our entry-level equipment, and then we have some more advanced equipment that all kind of depends on A, what fits you, and B, what you're using it for.
All right, Joe, I like a little speed in my shot, so I think I want to try the Bowtech. Do you think that'll fit me okay?
Absolutely, that'll fit you just fine. Let's get it fitted. So we're gonna check the draw weight on this bow. So the draw length should be really close. What I want you to do is hook, yep, right into that D-loop right there. Can you see these pins right here through the peep clearly?
Yep. Yes, I can.
Perfect.
We want bullseyes. This is like a little crab claw.
That is a release, not a crab claw.
You sure? Looks kind of like a crab claw to me.
All right, so we're gonna slide our left hand through the wrist sling like that. Move your hand all the way up to the heel. You wanna make sure that your hand is comfortably behind the bow, not off to the side. We're gonna take our arrow, we're gonna load it. We're gonna put it in the rest, arrow rest, just like that. You're gonna knock it to the string, right in the middle of your D-loop. So your release or your crab claw thingy goes right here, right there to the D-loop. Yep, just like that. Remember your safety, finger behind the trigger. You're gonna extend that arm. Now you're gonna focus through your peep. You're gonna look down here, you're gonna find the top pin. You're gonna put the top pin right on the center of the bullseye.
Where'd I go? Oh, way off.
It's
Hello.
It's okay, we gotta adjust it. All right, let's try one more. We adjusted the sight a little bit. Let's give it another try. There you go.
Bullseye.
Bullseye, good job.
Thank you. So much fun. And if you too want to try this modern day version of this ancient sport, stop by Average Joe's Archery and they'll get you started. This is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Bullseye.
Up next, this cyclist makes his daily pedal to work. Thing is, Ben Weaver's office ends up all over our state.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Game Fair and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
This next story is all about one worker's daily commute,
Ben Weaver pedals to work.
which doesn't seem like a big deal.
Until you understand what kind of job he keeps.
Pedaling can be a powerful thing. On a summer day, Ben Weaver rolls south.
The bike is one of the few places where I can just be with my thoughts, and sometimes I don't even need to know what those thoughts are. I just need to let them kind of flow through me, I guess.
Here in the country, Ben's bike provides the rhythm. Pedaling powers the tempo. See, Ben rides his bike 93 miles to work.
So next stop, Winona. I think it's about 25 miles or something.
A day ride from St. Paul to Winona for this self-described athlete and artist.
Those things have always been like really strong forces in my life, and I just chose to let them coexist.
The bike explains sport. The artist thing, well, take a closer look at its ride.
I always rode my bike, so I just decided, what if I just start riding to my shows? And it just kind of evolved from there. You know, sometimes I end up riding a lot of pavement, but the kind of goal and where I love to be is to find ways to connect communities through dirt. And that's why a lot of my shows I end up playing in small rural communities that don't necessarily have music. Thanks. Twisting and turning, every road you go down. Late in the evening, like bees moving pollen around.
So Ben's music and his poetry really looks at our natural environment, our ecosystem, and really tries to make connections between people and their environment.
And I talk to the wolf.
So there's a great fit between what Ben does and his music and his poetry, and we do with visual art here at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum.
Don't lose the roots for the sake of the branch. Don't let the river slip out through the cracks. You know, we live in incredibly disconnected and challenging times. My hope is that the words offer a chance to reconnect. Like blackbirds sitting on the back porch.
Words about water and woods and prairies. Songs that connect people to the places they live. And yes, he always tries to ride to his shows.
The first really long trip I did, I rode from St. Paul, where I live, to New Orleans.
In 2018, Ben actually rode North America's Great Divide Bike Trail, a 3,000-mile trek from Banff, Canada to the Mexico border. He played 16 shows along the way, while a filmmaker documented the trip.
I'm not special, I just was inspired and made a choice to follow through with that inspiration.
His fans seem to get it.
I liked his music.
I liked the music, I liked the message, and it's inspiring that he wrote everything himself, the songs and the poetry.
A Minnesota man who chose his own road to success, a wordsmith who refuses to just sit still.
If you don't want to be sitting in an office all day, like, you don't have to. You can figure something out. I feel like my songs and my path speaks to that.
We're closer, I always wanna be.
Ben is still pedaling to gigs, so keep an eye out for his next concert.
Absolutely. Well, that about does it for us today. We hope to see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433.